Central County Grand Master of Scotland and Deputy County Grand Master of Scotland, distinguished brethren and friends all, welcome to my talk on the Battle of Aughrim. A lot of people this time of year, we all focus on the Boyne, and rightly so. But I'm going to focus on a battle which was, personally, I feel a lot more important, and I know strategically a lot more important to the Williamites in Ireland. And it was the most decisive battle fought in the campaign. Some people would say it's the bloodiest battle ever fought on Irish soil. It depends on where you look for your numbers on how many were killed, but we'll talk about that. After the Boyne, the two kings leave. James leaves literally after the Boyne. William stays for a little while, around about 6 months, and is at the first siege of Limerick. Limerick is a disaster for the Williamites. They lose around 3,000 men and another 2,000 men to disease after it. So William feels that he has to go back to England, and he's only in England a few weeks, and then he retires and goes back into the military service again, but this time in the Netherlands and in the Spanish Netherlands. It was known as the Lowlands. So William is away. William leaves in charge of his army a friend and also a confidant, a general that he could trust, and this is General Ginkel. Ginkel's professional Dutch soldier, has fought for William for many years and also fought for his father before him. So Ginkel is an experienced officer, knows how to handle men in the field. On the Jacobite side of things, James is gone. The Jacobite command changes hands quite a few times, and then James goes to Louis XIV, his ally, and asks him to send one of his better commanders to Ireland. So Louis chooses the Marquis of St. Ruth. Now, his real name in French is the Marquis de St. Ruth. Okay, it's a big mouthful, but we call him St. Ruth here in Ireland. St. Ruth, professional soldier once again, was known by the French Huguenots as the Hammer. After the revoke of the Edict of Nantes in 1685, he is involved in the campaign against the Huguenot people, and the Huguenots are driven out of France basically, or else they have to recant their faith and become Catholic. So he's known as the Hammer of the Huguenot. Not a very nice person. Okay, so this is the guy that Louis and James are sending to Ireland to sort out the army. So Ruth is a good officer, a good soldier when it comes to organisation, and he organises the Irish army quickly when he arrives. There's already French troops left over from the Boyne. James expected Louis not just to send St. Ruth, but send more men, but he doesn't. He sends more weapons, yes, but he doesn't send more men. The reason being is he's fighting William and William's allies of the League of Oxford in the United Provinces and in the Spanish Netherlands or the Lowlands. So he can't commit to Ireland, okay? So it really, then the two armies are around about the same size, about 20,000. The Jacobites gain a bit of success at this time because they find the Williamites are advancing towards Limerick. The Williamites, after the first siege of Limerick, retire back to Athlone, Galway, that area, and up into Dublin. And the artillery train is very slow, and it is coming, but it's coming by the back path, coming from Cork and Kinsale, which were taken by the Duke of Marlborough a little bit earlier in the campaign. So the guns are at a place called Ballyneety, and the Jacobites find out about this, and Patrick Sarsfield, along with a rapparee, that's an irregular horse, Irish irregular horse, a guy called Hogan, they lead a party of men into Ballyneety, and they destroy one of the big 32-pounders, and they also destroy some of the powder and the some of the weapons. And some of the other guns are spiked, which means that they're useless. So a big morale success for the Jacobites and the Williamites. Their morale drops at this time. Ginkel takes his time goes to Count Solms, who's William's cousin, and asks him to control the right flank of his advance. So now that they've basically shorn up all the gaps that there are in their line, the Williamites are advancing and they're getting closer and closer. The Jacobites decide they're going to meet them because they're around about the same size, 20,000. Now they've got Saint Ruth, who is one of the best French generals of his day. So, so they both come together and they come at a place that's called Kilcolmadon Hill. This is right beside a small village called Aughrim village, and that's where the battle is called Aughrim and not Kilcolmadon. But the main fighting will take place on Kilcolmadon Hill. So the Williamites and the Jacobites, they're on this, they're meeting at this place. It's a hillside that goes down into a valley, and at the bottom of the valley there's hedgerows and there's a bog area. The Williamites are going to have to advance through this bog area to the hedgerows and then up onto the hill for the advance. The Jacobites are holding the hillside. They're right across the hillside. On their right flank is Aughrim Castle, which is a very small ruined castle, but they decide to put a troop of men in there. They don't reinforce the right flank because there is this very small thin causeway, and they believe that the Williamites couldn't advance across this causeway to the castle. So the Williamites they believe the Williamites are not going to be able to do this. So they put this one regiment, which is Regiment of Burke's Regiment, are in the castle. On the left flank is the main cavalry under Sarsfield. And the Williamites, they form the same again. Their main infantry is in the centre, which is going to go advance right up onto the hillside. You have on the right flank, you have troops that are going to be given to two generals. One is Rainey, who is a French Huguenot, and the other one is a Scot. And this guy is a man who's going to play a massive role in this battle. And this is Hugh Mackay of Skirry. So Mackay was a professional soldier, Scottish soldier, who had fought in the Dutch army with the Dutch Brigade in William's service. Mackay is going to control this side. On the other side, you have the Danes under Württemberg, and you have the Dutch cavalry. So you have the Danish cavalry, the Dutch cavalry, all on that side. On the right flank, it's the English cavalry, the Scots cavalry, and some infantry as well. In the centre is all infantry, and then the artillery. So it's going to be a simple battle. The Williamites are going to try and push up this hill, and then they're going to have to find some way in the flank. This right flank is going to be the main success. The Jacobites, as I say, that this small causeway, they don't believe they can get across it. Hugh Mackay knows differently, and he takes a scouting party and they try and get across it. One of the men gets shot at from the castle and gets pushed back. Hugh Mackay himself mounts up on his horse and tries to cross the causeway, gets shot at, and actually it lands up in the mud, and he's covered in mud. But he sends a man on foot, and the man on foot gets across to the other side of the causeway, comes back and says, "Sir, it can be crossed, but heavy horse won't get across it, only light horse, and infantry should be in single file going across." So it's going to be, you're under fire from the castle the whole time. So the attack starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, and this is on the 12th of July, 1691. And the Danish and the Dutch cavalry advance into the river beside the bridge at Tristium, which is on the left flank. And the Jacobites countercharge this. And this is really what's going to happen on this left flank the whole day. You have countercharge, charge, countercharge, charge, because that's what cavalry do. In the centre, the Williamites advance, and they come under fire from the Jacobites on the hillside. The Jacobite commander, Saint Roux, then decides to send men from each of the regiments on the hillside down to the hedgerows, and they will control the hedgerows. And the Jacobites are holding the high ground. They're holding very good defensive positions. And George Story, who was a famous diarist of the time, George Story says, Saint Roux showed great dexterity in making the choice of such a great piece of ground. Nature itself could not have furnished him with a better position. The Irish also, they always love the breastwork. This is an offensive position. And this would stop the bullets. He also fitted out each of the men in the hedges and ditches and in every bog and in every meadow. So the Jacobites are holding this centre position. The Williamites are advancing and now they're under fire. And this is the main centre line. This is the main infantry, and they're under fire now, and they're taking big casualties. They're taking, a lot of 100 men as they advance forward. On the right flank, Mackay then starts to do this infiltration. He brings in the cavalry and he takes the men, and they single file go across the causeway. And the infantry, they go across with them too. And the infantry get to the other side along with some dragoons, and they start firing up at the castle. And the Jacobites in Burke's regiment, they start running out of ammunition and out of gunpowder. Two regiments were in the centre of the line, were then moved out to the right-hand side to support Burke on the road. But whenever St. Ruth sees this cavalry on his left flank, and he starts to see the advance of the Williamites again in the centre, he decides then to take these men back. Okay? On the other side, as I say, this advancement's happening. The regiments are reforming, and they're now getting themselves ready for an attack. So the dragoons are across, the infantry's across, and now the cavalry are forming up. And they're big men, horses with big swords. And the Jacobites in the castle, they've run out of gunpowder. They've run out of shot. And they are now lifting stones, and they're throwing stones down. The cavalry laugh at them, and they advance on. There's only one regiment in the way of the Williamite advance, and it's a regiment of dragoons, Irish dragoons, called Luttrell's Dragoons. They try to stop the Williamites, but then they won't back. Then Mackay and Rainey bring their cavalry forward, and they get to the crest of the hillside, and they cannot believe what they're seeing in front of them. The Irish army is strung out in two long, thin lines, perfect for cavalry to attack. So they take out their swords, and they say, "For King William and for the Protestant faith," and they charge. And they charge down into the Jacobite lines, and the Jacobite lines are decimated. They're being rolled up, and the cavalry's getting into the back of them and hitting them with the swords, and they're charging and they're smashing down upon them. And these men are just being destroyed. The whole Jacobite centre is being rolled up. And the Jacobite cavalry on the left-hand side, they see what's happening. St. Ruth sees what's happening, and now he decides, "Gentlemen, come with me." And he charges with his Irish Life Guards. And he gets about 300 yards, and a Williamite cannonball comes and boom, hits him in the back of the head and takes his head right off his shoulders. So Ruth's dead. The Life Guards who were with him, they scatter. They're gone. The centre of the Jacobite line, as I say, is being rolled up. The Williamites are coming in. They're slashing. They're firing with their pistols at them. And they're just being rolled up and rolled up and rolled up. Sarsfield and another general in charge of the cavalry on the left-hand side, Galmoy, they decide that they need to retreat back. So they form in good order. To be fair to the Jacobite horse, they form in good order, and they form a rear guard. The Jacobite command now goes to St. Ruth's second in command. There's a guy called Detest. Detest tries to take charge, and he takes charge of the cavalry, and he starts charging down the hill, and he gets about 700-800 yards away, and then a Williamite musketeer shoots him, and he gets hit in the shoulder, he gets hit in the breast, and he gets hit in the side of the face, and he's taken off the field. He's not dead, but he's very seriously injured. The Williamites are now just rolling up the line. The centre have now pushed through, and they're through the hedgerows, and now the infantry are coming up the hill, and they're coming towards their enemies. The Jacobites are finished. St. Ruth is dead. Tess is seriously injured. The Jacobite command will go to Patrick Sarsfield. Sarsfield forms a rear guard and gets the men away. The Williamites have won the day. The most decisive battle of the whole campaign. Some people would estimate between 6,000 and 7,000 died at the Battle of Aughrim. 1,000 of these were Williamites, the rest were Jacobites. So around about 6,000 Jacobites died. And the man who won the day, my friends, and the man who turned the tide of battle was Hugh Mackay of Scurry, a Scot. Thank you very much for listening once again. Central Grand Master of Scotland and Deputy Central Grand Master of Scotland, thank you. And it's been a great honour for me to do this. And I would like to thank Brother Graham Reid and the brethren for once again coming to me and asking me to do this. Have a glorious 12th of July, and God save the Queen.